Welcome to the October 26, 2022 meeting of the Murrieta Planning Commission. Is called to order at 6:02. Nope. Excuse me, 5:02.
Yep.
There we go. 5:02. Madam Secretary, would you please call roll to determine quorum?
Commissioner Harlan.
Here.
Commissioner King.
Here.
Commissioner Lavelle.
Here.
Vice Chair Fisher.
Here.
Chair LaPaglia.
Here.
Let the record reflect all members are present.
City Attorney, is there any disclosures for our closed session this evening?
Yeah, we'll be going into closed session today so the Planning Commission consult with legal counsel with respect to anticipated litigation pursuant to Government Code Sections 54956.9, subsection D2 and D3, related to exposure to litigation in actually one case. The agenda lists two, but we are only going to be discussing one matter today.
Okay. Okay, and before we go into closed session, Madam Secretary, are there any public comments on the closed session items only?
Seeing none.
Okay, with that, we are going to closed session and we'll reconvene at the conclusion to disclose any reportable actions. Good evening. We just returned from our closed session. First things first, City Attorney, please provide a report from our closed session.
There's no reportable actions.
After no reportable actions, the closed session meeting is now adjourned and we will continue to our regular meeting. The October 26, 2022 regular meeting of the Murrieta Planning Commission is now called to order at 6:02. I will note for the record that all members remain present from the closed session. And with that, Commissioner Fisher, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. Everybody would rise. Place your hand over your heart and begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, are there any changes to tonight's agenda?
Seeing none.
Thank you for that. I'd like to call for a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda.
Motion from Lavelle. Approve.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, we have a motion by Commissioner Lavelle, second by Commissioner Harlan. May we do a roll call vote?
Commissioner Harlan.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Chair LaPaglia.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. At this time, we will take public comments. Any person may address the Planning Commission on any subject pertaining to city business which does not relate to any items listed on the agenda. Normally, no action may be considered or taken by the Planning Commission on any matter not listed on the agenda, and speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Madam Secretary, do we have any non-agenda public comments tonight?
Seeing none.
We will now approve the minutes from the October 12th, 2022 regular Planning Commission meeting as presented. Madam Secretary, are there any members of the public requesting to speak on the approval of the October 12th, 2022 minutes?
Thank you, Chair. We do not have any members of the public requesting to speak.
Okay, with that, need to call for a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the October 12th, 2022 regular Planning Commission meeting as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Commissioner Harlan.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle.
Aye.
Vice Chair Fisher.
Aye.
Chair LaPaglia.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. For tonight's public hearing, the item is the Development Plan 2019-1846, Conditional Use Permit 2019-1847, and Minor Conditional Use Permit 2019-1856, a convenience store with a drive-through gas station, drive-through car wash, ABC outdoor display, and sales. Are there any members of the Planning Commission that wish to abstain or recuse themselves from tonight's item? Nope, taking nod of heads. Okay. Seeing none, so we will move on to staff's presentation. Ms. Renamaki, floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, Chair LaPaglia, Vice Chair Fisher, and distinguished members of the Planning Commission. Welcome to this evening's the staff report continued. So on October 12th, the Planning Commission held a hearing for this project and voted to continue the hearing to October 26th, which is this evening. The proposal before you this evening is a request for a development plan to construct a fueling canopy station, a convenience store, outdoor propane sales, and a car wash. The conditional use permit is to allow for the use of the site as a car wash, and the minor conditional use permit is to allow for outdoor display and sale of propane and for off-site sale of beer and wine. The project is outlined in bold black. It's located at the southwest corner of Clinton Keith Road and McElwain Road. The general plan designation for the site is commercial, and the zoning for the site is regional commercial. The proposed uses on the site are consistent with the commercial general plan designation and the regional commercial zoning for the site. A fueling canopy convenience store are permitted with the approval of a development plan. The car wash, outdoor display, and sale of propane are conditionally permitted uses. So the site plan shows the general layout of the proposal consisting of the convenience store, the car wash, the fueling canopy, and outdoor propane sales and storage. Access to the site will be via Clinton Keith Road at the existing signalized intersection. The project will be adding an additional through lane where only 2 through lanes exist now, and will maintain the existing bike lane connection. The project will also be installing a dedicated right turn lane for stacking off of Clinton Keith Road onto the project site. A minor conditional use permit is required for the request to have off-site sale of beer and wine. The project has been conditioned to comply with the city's hours for alcohol sales being from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight. The convenience store floor plan clearly identifies the 10-foot distance separation from the building entrance and checkout counter where no displays of alcoholic beverage are allowed within these areas. The floor plan also demonstrates compliance with the limitation of no more than 10% of the retail floor area devoted to display and sale of alcohol. The project has been conditioned to identify no advertising of alcohol on gasoline islands and no lighted advertising of alcohol on the exterior of the building or within the windows. So the recommendation this evening is consistent with October 12th, and that is to adopt the notice of exemption pursuant to CEQA and adopt the resolution of the Planning Commission approving Development Plan 2019-1846, Conditional Use Permit 2019-1847, and Minor Conditional Use Permit 2019-1856, all of those based on the findings that have been prepared this evening and subject to the conditions of approval that have been applied to the project in Exhibits A, B, C, and D. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. With that, I'll bring it up to the Planning Commission for deliberation. Commissioner Lavelle, any questions for staff?
Yes, I have one right now. How long has this site been zoned commercial? Can you tell me the last or the first time it was zoned and what that was? A year maybe?
I don't have that information readily
Real
handily.
quick, do we have any comment from City Planner?
Yeah, I believe from the mapping that we've looked at since at least 1999, regional commercial has been the zoning. We know that because we looked at a map when the Murrieta Oaks specific plan was filed. And when that specific plan was filed, this zoning was existing at least since 1999.
Okay, just wanted clarity on that. That's actually all I have right
All
now.
right. Thank you, Commissioner Lavelle. Commissioner Knight? King? I'll get that right.
No questions for staff.
Okay, and we'll swing it over to Commissioner Harlem.
No questions.
Vice Chair Fisher?
No questions.
Okay, that leaves me. Has there been any new undisclosed, discovery from staff pertaining to this project?
I don't believe there has been nothing new.
Okay. Well, I have no further questions then either. Thank you.
Chair, are we allowed to ask questions to the applicant at this time?
Good question.
You're welcome to ask questions. The issue that would arise would be if we're introducing new testimony or not. If that's the case, then we would want to reopen the public hearing in order to do that.
Okay.
If the questions are, basically rehashing what was already in the testimony, that, it's a subtle distinction. So I would approach with caution, but the public hearing is closed at this point. So unless it's reopened, I would not advise introducing any new testimony on the project from either side.
Okay, thank you for that clarity.
So the decision's up to the Planning Commission here to reopen public testimony. And obviously a lot was said last week, which we all reviewed. Do we have a feeling that we want to reopen public testimony? No. Okay.
So we just proceed with deliberation, just where we left off at the last meeting.
Correct. Deliberation to either make a motion, discuss the project, things of that nature. Any comment, Commissioner Lavelle? On the on everything, I guess the CUPs, the location of the gas station, car wash, etc.
I guess at this time, I could make a motion. Give me a second though. I'm gonna write some notes down. If you guys want to proceed down, if you have other stuff,
go ahead.
I'll pause that.
In the meantime, Mr. Renamaki, could we identify which conditional use permit numbers pertain to each one? I think it's in our report, but if you could just identify that for everybody.
Absolutely. So if we could just start with the development plan. The development plan would cover the convenience store and the fueling station. And then going on to the conditional use permit, the conditional use permit covers the car wash use, not the building, but the use of the building as a car wash. The minor conditional use permit is again all about the use. So the minor conditional use permit covers the sale of alcohol or the sale of beer and wine for off-site and for the outdoor display and sale of the propane tanks. So it's two things. Okay. The minor CUP is for the alcohol and for the propane sales.
And for clarity, is it propane tank refill or propane tank sale, like in a 5-gallon exchange?
So it's a large tank, so people would come to refill
their tanks. Okay.
I understand Commissioner Lavelle is preparing a possible motion, but it wouldn't be inappropriate if other commissioners had anything they'd like to contribute or say about the project or to continue deliberation until that motion is ready.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner King, Commissioner Fisher. Any comment?
Okay, I think I'm ready to
Commissioner
try
Arnold?
this.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, if we're ready to make a motion,
Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the development plan 2019-1846, but not approve the CUP for the car wash use, the propane use, or the alcohol sale.
okay. To read it into the record, can we get that up on the screen or I guess it is up on the screen. Do you want to read the recommendation by spelling out the code?
Just a thought, the applicant on this calls for the convenience store to be 24 hours. Can that be included in something we put in?
Yeah, we can
that.
make a condition to
Produce that?
limit those hours.
I should reread that then.
I think that's appropriate. Okay.
Sorry about that.
Oh, you're good. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the development plan DP 2019-1846 without the approval of CUP 2019-1847, minor conditional use permit 2019-1856, and the condition of approval, the conditional use permit for the alcohol sales. I don't see that written here.
I believe it's part of the
Okay.
CUP.
With that, I'd like to put a recommendation or have that motion
A condition.
also a condition for the convenience store to not be 24 hours.
And I will second that. Do we need some clarity on the hours though, City Attorney?
Anytime there's a denial, staff is going to have to come back to this commission with a new resolution of denial that sets forth the basis for that denial and whatever the new, if there's a change in approval or whatever, we need to add that in. So yes, we will need to know what direction the commission would like to go in so that we can work with bringing back the proper documentations for you to vote on that again. At this point, you're giving staff direction because you don't have that resolution in front of you.
Correct.
Could we take a quick 5-minute recess and come back to this?
That's that's at your discretion.
Okay. I'd like to take a quick 5-minute recess, and we will resume at 6:21. See you all in a few. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Let's go ahead and resume at 6:19 p.m. And if I could bring it back.
So we currently have a pending motion that was made, and
Did we get any clarity on the hours of operation?
if you would like a modification on that, or
We want to just leave that to staff to determine. But
Is that appropriate if to not have a 24-hour operation for staff to determine appropriate use on the convenience store if it's not 24?
It's appropriate for the planning commission to specify limited hours of operation. If you wanted to provide us directions, say 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. or something, we can look into what our typical convenience stores are. But I think it'd be nice to get some parameters from planning commission to staff.
Can I use that language, typical convenience store, or can you give
comparable?
me? I don't know the hours I'd like to recommend, but I'd like staff's recommendation on that in the motion.
Staff will look at projects that have not 24-hour cycles, but we'll bring back what we believe is the appropriate. And I think at that time, if you feel differently, you can make additional changes. But we'll bring back what we believe is the direction of Planning Commission.
Okay.
That's fair. Okay. With that, I'll make a second. Madam Secretary, may I have a roll call?
hold on, before we get into a vote, just so that we can make it clear on the when we bring back the resolution to deny the CUPs, did you have a basis for those denials that we want to incorporate?
Sure. Want me to reread the whole motion with?
No.
Okay. So the denial of the car wash use would be too close to homes, too noisy. The denial of the alcohol use, personally, I don't feel that alcohol being that close to how alcohol sales being that close to houses is a great idea. And the propane, there's propane sales close by that I think fit the needs for residents.
Thank you. Just because we had limited deliberation, it was unclear where the motion was headed.
Okay, so with that
So
explanation.
you have a motion and a second.
Correct. Madam Secretary, may I call roll call vote?
Commissioner Harlan,
Aye.
Commissioner King,
Aye.
Commissioner Lavelle,
Aye.
Vice Chair LaPaglia.
Nope.
Sorry. Vice Chair Fisher,
Aye.
Chair LaPaglia.
Aye.
Passes unanimously 5-0.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. City Planner, any comments?
We believe to bring back what the Planning Commission has made a decision upon. The best date for that would be November 23rd. I just wanted to share with the Planning Commission if they had a specific date in mind, but 2 weeks from now, we think we need a little bit more time.
Okay, thank you. City Planner or City Attorney, any comments? No comments.
None.
Bring it back up to the Planning Commission. We can get a nod of heads or any other comments.
One question to Mr. City Planner. The 23rd of November, I'm not sure. When is Thanksgiving?
The
Just want to
24th.
clarify.
That's
When
the next day.
Is that?
Yeah, it's the day before the holiday typically. It's a tough time of year, but that's why I want to be careful with the dates. Otherwise, we'd be looking at December 14th.
When this item does come back to, just so you know, it'll come back probably as a consent item, just the resolution. You've already made the decision essentially here. You'll just be approving the written form of it by adopting the resolution, and that will then become the action that's subject to appeal. It could be pulled, it could be made in, and if you wanted to make changes at that time, make it longer. But if everything stays the same, it would just be a quick item.
Okay, thank you.
Planning Commission, any comments? Nod of heads? No? No? Okay. Thank you everyone for coming. With that, this meeting is now adjourned at 6:23 p.m. Thank you.